Welcome back to the Life of a Gentleman podcast. Here is where the guys discuss, debate, and consider all aspects of living like a true gentleman. Rich and Anton will consider entrepreneurship, success, fashion and styling, family life, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our latest saunter into the life of a gentleman. Guys, take it away.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Life of a Gentleman podcast. And this week, we're going to discuss something that has really become quite the buzzword. And me and Anton will discuss this in a little bit of detail and break it down. And that is the term high value man. Anton, I'm sure you've heard that lately. It's the buzzword on social media, on YouTube. Everybody's talking about being a high value man these days.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those water cooler conversations, with the fellas, the barbershop, no matter where you go, where there's, some men, and I'm going to just say it's some men of color, because I really think it's more pervasive in our community. You've been hearing more and more of that term, a high value man.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is, though, since its popularity the past year or so of coming into our vernacular, is now you got a lot of guys. I'm running into people I know, like you said, people at the barbershop or just at the bar, wherever you go, everybody's kind of beating their chest saying, no, I'm a high value man.
Right.
And it seems like it's something that would be considered to be an exclusive club. And many people have defined it different ways. But whoever defines it, it's always the top of the top, creme de la creme, elite. But yet still, you have almost every guy you run into says he's high value.
Right.
So the question becomes, why are so many men these days considering themselves high value? Is it just because it's something they want to attain to? Do they really feel like they really have arrived in our high value? And
right.
Maybe we can break down even what that means exactly.
I think what it means is that, you make X amount of money, right? You've attained, I guess, a certain level of social status, right? You can move in certain rooms. That to me, it invokes a man who has some semblance of power and achieve certain things, and a lot of it to me just was surrounded about, what you've been able to attain to and the money that you make. That's what I saw. I don't know what your thoughts was on it.
No, I think it's very similar. High value man, like you said, X amount of dollars in income. Right. So maybe somebody that has investments, somebody that owns properties, at least your own home.
Right.
Of course.
At the least, at the very least.
I don't think many high value men are renting one bedroom apartments,
Right.
But the funny thing is, like I said, I know some guys personally that are saying they're high value, but I take a look at them and I scratch my head because it's like something's not adding up exactly. And I think it's become such a buzzword. Everybody wants to just throw that label on themselves. But
right.
If we have to be honest, take a look in the mirror, everybody can't be a quote unquote high value man. It just doesn't make sense. It's just, if it's only delegated to the top, 10% of men, then how come everybody I come across says they are one? Something just doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because it's almost like, you have models and you have supermodels, right?
Yeah.
So just because you're a model doesn't put you in the class of a supermodel.
So speaking of that, real quick, not to interrupt, but also the other level of that, everybody's a model now. They're IG models.
Right.
You talk to people and they'll say, "What do you do?" "Well, I'm a model." "Oh, who do you model for?" "Well, I'm an IG model." The IG model is a lot different from somebody that works with a modeling agency, maybe that does stuff for Macy's and Kmart and things like that. I mean, that's great. Maybe even Home Goods and things like that. You could be a model, but you're not a supermodel. So there's levels to everything. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Like, because you might be an accomplished man doesn't mean that you are a high value man. And I think that that moniker has been used almost incorrectly, because it's almost like, all right, I could be a jerk to everybody I meet, but as long as I make enough money, I got a boat out in the back and I have a really nice zip code, then automatically that makes me, you know, the quote unquote high value man. And I think that's also kind of getting lost in the mix too. I think I really do understand what's behind, you know, the proliferation of the term and why it's gained so much traction lately. And I think it's because, you know, as we said, I think it's been adopted in our community more than others. I think it's because of where we have been in society, family structure, all kinds of things. You know, there's a lot. And I think over these few series of episodes that we do on this topic, maybe we can, you know, dive into some of those other things. But I think it's a large mix of things within our community, especially, that has kind of brought this about. I don't know if you agree.
I somewhat, but if you do a Google search or if you do a search on YouTube, it's in almost every community. Honestly, I've seen it in just about people of all walks of life talking about.
But lately.
Oh yeah, as of late, late, definitely, it's worked its way into you know, urban pop culture. Put it like that. And but the thing that I see about it that I find a little bit concerning is the fact now it's almost all or nothing. People feel like, well, if I'm not a high value man, I'm nothing. So it's like, well, what about just being a good man that's a good, solid citizen, that's a good provider? You got to, you know, you have a home, you take care of your wife and kids. Maybe you don't make six figures. You know, maybe you don't have a membership at the country club, or you don't have a big investment portfolio, but you know what? You're a solid guy, and maybe a Coach Pop Warner, and you know, you're a solid guy in the community. Right. What's wrong with that? Nobody wants to be that anymore. Everybody wants to jump that and go up and say, you know what, I'm high value. And it's starting to get a little bit exasperating because, like I said at the outset, everybody can't be that. It just doesn't fit.
Right. But no, I mean, and I guess it also depends on what people's criteria of that is. You know, like I said, some people can feel that if I make X amount of dollars, if I do this thing, then automatically, boom, I'm in a high value man club, right? Or
maybe they drive a certain type of vehicle and they feel like, oh, you know, I'm pushing a foreign, whatever, you know, and I got a German automobile, so I'm a high value man. I don't think it works that way. That's just my position on it.
No, and then, like I said, it has to be based on something, right? And I think our estimation of what a high value man is may be different from what another person's estimation of what a high value man is.
So basically what you're saying is it's all subjective.
Yes. Yeah. Like I don't think it's something that can be just a blanket idea or a blanket statement. Like, I think that there has to be some nuance when it comes to what a high value man is. Like, there has to be a criteria, there has to be standards. You know, you have to be able to, you know, qualify almost, you know, what it is.
Yeah, I think the problem with that is the fact that now that most guys would consider themselves to be high value, if you ask them, they almost have an elitist view of themselves. And yes. I know, you know, for you and I, we've been married for 20 years.
Decades.
So we're not on the market. We're not out there on the dating scene, but we do talk to a lot of people because we're custom clothiers. And we meet with guys that are just out of college, middle-aged guys, single guys. And, you know, it's kind of like being a barber or even a bartender. People open up to you and talk to you, getting these conversations with guys. And everybody that we've come across, you know, has really felt that they're high value. And I just don't know that that's good for the community, for everybody to think, to have such, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having pride in yourself, but when you have such a high level of your self-worth and then you're looking down at your options for a mate, and you feel like they're beneath you because you've elevated to high value, I feel like that's gonna do something detrimental for the community, where those natural connections aren't going to be made because some men have an inflated view of themselves.
And I think some of it is just a numbers game, right? I mean, for a multitude of reasons, right? In our particular community, the pickings on, for men it seems kind of slim. Like I said, we're not in the game, whatever, but it seems like it's a little slim. So that also, just the.
Well, let me make sure I understand you correctly. So the pickings for the guys is slim because
no.
Okay, no, okay,
no, right, yeah, no,
right. There's less guys, way more women. So the men are being more choosy and feeling like, well, I'm high value, so let me sift through here and figure out who I want to, wife up.
Right, and we're not trying to poo on dudes feeling good about themselves. I'm good with that. I want dudes to feel good about themselves.
Yeah,
but
let's be realistic.
Yeah, old girl that you was eyeballing, a year ago that you felt like in your brain she was Beyonce. Now she's nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because all of a sudden you've had this awakening and this epiphany, and now you're of high value and she's beneath you. You know what I'm saying? This broad is beneath you.
Well, here's the funny thing. A couple of things we can dive into kind of quickly is one of them is let's say a guy is making let's just use 6 figures. That's kind of the benchmark that people like to use, right?
Right.
So let's say let's take it from two different ways. Let's say you make 6 figures, but you're absolute. You have no class, you have no couth, you can't move in certain rooms, you can't move in certain circles. To me, you're eliminated from being a high value man. Just because you make a lot of money, that doesn't mean anything. You could be no disrespect to different careers. You could be an accountant. You could be an electrician. You could work on high power voltage lines. You could be, in construction. You could be in real estate and make 6 figures. But all of those guys, depending on how they carry themselves, to me, that plays a factor into whether you could actually be considered high value or not. Okay. What rooms can you move in? Just making money, that's not enough for me. Right.
So let's say this. So my question is, if you make so is there any amount of money that precludes you from being a high value man? As a salary, do you have to make a certain amount of money? In your estimation?
I hate to put a price on it because it just kind of goes against my personal beliefs. But for the term high value man, there has to be a line in the sand. So I would say yes. If you're just an average salary person, what the U.S. average salary, I believe, is like $42,000 a year.
Okay.
If that's your take home, it's hard for me to give the label of high value man, and I hate labels as it is, but really there has to be a distinction between just a good guy, good solid man. That's my thing. I don't see anything wrong with just being, hey, you know what? I'm a good man. I don't have to be high value or an elitist. I'm just a good man.
Right, because so I think you can make 400,000, 4 million, whatever, 4 billion, or you can make 40,000, right?
Yeah.
But if you have zero character, it diminishes your value, right?
Exactly.
No matter what, amount of money you make. And granted, we're not sitting up here talking, like we're perfect, we get on our wives' nerves and all kinds of stuff too, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not, But what I'm saying is what's being pumped out there is that if you make a certain amount of money, if you move, if you got a boat or this or that and blah, 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 and you have a really big portfolio that allows you to move however you want to move when it comes to females. If this one ain't working out for you, cut this chick off and let's on to the next, and I get it, but I believe that has been created because of the scarcity in choices for females, right? You know, like, and where you want to, you know, where I want to see men, you know, empowered and, you know, feeling good about themselves and their self-value and their self-worth and all those things. And I think we as men and husbands want to be valued, you know, even in our own homes. We want to, you know, be appreciated and all kinds of things, but it doesn't give you a blank check, I don't believe, to walk around saying and doing whatever it is you want to do because you've, you know, bought into the church of being a high value man. That's you know,
I totally agree. I see a lot of guys these days, and you know, they have their nose turned up in the air a little bit. They feel like they're high value, but some of these same guys we've come across, you know, and just like I said, we meet a lot of people. We go to a lot of, we're out at a lot of places, and
all walks of life too, like all walks of life,
right? And here's the crazy thing. So if, let's say we're out on a business dinner and we go to a nice 4 or 5 star restaurant, you really don't even know how to move in that environment,
right?
You know, you don't even, you've never seen 2 forks, you know,
right.
At a table setting, and you don't know how to operate in that environment. I think you can't consider yourself a high value man, because you have to be the total package. So you could be making the money, but if you don't have the class and the manners and the ability to move,
to navigate a room, to navigate a space.
Yeah. You know, to me that eliminates you. So, and then on the other hand, there's a lot of guys that like to dress nice.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have the big salary, but they look like they do because of the way they dress. They like to suit up. It's just in their nature. So they're always suited up. They always look very good, very put together. And maybe they even have some of the manners and the etiquette, but they may not have the funds.
Right.
You know what I mean? No.
Fake it till you make it type of situation.
You know, and at that point too, I feel like that group of guys also, they don't really fit the bill of high value man. High value man is kind of like a James Bond. It's pretty rare, you know, for everybody to have all those attributes. And guys, don't get it twisted. We're not sitting here saying that we have it and you don't. All I'm saying is there's a lot of guys I'm coming across that I've run across that I know. 1, I know they don't make that money. 2, they can't move in those rooms. They're very awkward socially. And a lot of times they don't have the manners and etiquette to be able to move. I'm just being honest. But yeah, at the same time, now, everybody's saying they're high value. So it's kind of driving me crazy. I'd love to know what everybody else thinks about this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really been. I'm not saying it's overdone, but I think it's definitely. Yeah, it's everywhere. But I think it's a good conversation to have, because I don't. The standard is all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And you just feel like, I woke up in the morning, I went to work, I'm a man, I'm high value, baby. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know, what are we doing here, people?
That's what we're going to try to figure out. We're going to leave it up to you guys. In the comments, let us know, what do you think defines high value? We'd love to know that. And also, on this high value man, are you sick of it? Or do you buy in and think that this high value man label is actually something that's good and beneficial for the community as a whole? Let us know in the comments, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit different take on the life of a gentleman. But, you know, as we always say, we discuss all things gentlemen, not just clothing, not just fashion. So I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Anton, I'll let you have the final word.
Now, again, we're kind of going a little bit of a different direction. And we'd appreciate definitely your feedback. You know, where were we off? You know, where do you think that we might have messed up? Leave those kind of comments down there. Ask us some questions. Challenge how we think. You know, tell us where we were wrong. And we'd love to be able to discuss it with each other and with you, just to get some other viewpoints. Because, you know, we don't have we're not the gospel on this. We're just talking 2 dudes that's been out the game forever, trying to figure out, you know, what's been going on lately. But that's all I got, Rich.
All right, guys, until next time, take care.